China is the most populated nation on Earth and home to a booming organ transplant industry. However, over the past decade, reports have emerged that the majority of organs are not sourced from death row prisoners and donations, as stated by officials, but rather from innocent prisoners of conscience murdered on demand. Researchers across the globe are uncovering new evidence that shows the true nature and scale of these abuses. In June 2016, 3 independent investigators jointly published a 680-page report of irrefutable evidence.
China, to my knowledge, is the only country in the world where the government-run industrial program kills people and sells their organs.
Endless hospitals in here. We go into them in great detail. We're talking about a very large hospital, endless amounts of transplant surgeons and transplant teams.
I was really surprised how high the number was. I mean, as I say, it's multiple between 6 and 10 of the official figures.
Hearings were held by the U.S. Congress, the British Parliament, the European Parliament, and the Canadian Parliament. The U.S. House of Representatives unanimously passed a resolution condemning the systematic state-sanctioned organ harvesting from non-consenting prisoners of conscience. China's killing for organs is making a major appearance across media outlets all over the world. In 2006, it first came to light that prisoners of conscience were being killed on demand for organ transplants in secret detention facilities throughout China. The first 2 researchers to investigate were David Kilgore, former Canadian Secretary of State for Asia Pacific, and David Matas, an international human rights lawyer.
When we started in 2006, I didn't know where the trials would lead or what the conclusion would be. The initial surprise and disappointment was that this was true, that it was happening throughout China, and it was happening from 2001 to the date of our report.
Kilgore and Matas released their first report in July 2006 and later published the book Bloody Harvest. Around the same time, Ethan Gutman, an independent investigative journalist based in London, he spent 7 years doing his own research before publishing The Slaughter in 2014.
We made the point that it was really prisoners of conscience, we believe, are making up the bulk of these organs that are out there. And we came, as David Kilgore and David Matas and I, came to this from the same conclusion from very different, using very different procedures, but we did come to that conclusion.
The investigators joined forces, researched hundreds of transplant hospitals in China, and released their new report in 2016. The 3 investigators were nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for their work. Discovering exactly how large the transplant industry is in China and how many victims there have been is difficult. The researchers spent a decade piecing together the evidence. For example, in September 2013, Director Zhu Jiye of the Liver Transplant Center at the People's Hospital of Peking University told China Economic Weekly, "Our hospital conducted 4,000 liver and kidney transplants within a particular year."
So we had to cross-check everything. So when we had posted volume numbers, we cross-checked it against staff, against beds, against research publications, against media reports, against the purchase of immunosuppressive drugs. I mean, every which way we could. And what we were able to do by all this cross-checking is develop a consistent picture. And in that particular case, we came to the conclusion that yes, this claim of 4,000 was real.
Shenzhen Central Hospital, they have 500 beds. It's actually over that now. 500 dedicated transplant beds. Now, they were claiming in their internal communications at several points to be doing 131% occupancy. What that means, again, 20 to 30 day stay, or what it suggests is they're doing about 5,000 transplants per year.
These examples show that China's official claim of 10,000 transplants per year is easily surpassed by just a few hospitals, increased by 10 times between 1999 and 2000, and further tripled by 2005. That's a 30-fold increase in 6 years. Wu Mengchao, known as the father of liver surgery in China, told the media in 2011, China now performs the most liver transplants in the world. Since 2000, the entire United States has performed an average of about 6,000 liver transplants a year. This could be matched by just a few hospitals in China.
That they had this endless supply of organs available on demand, and the only limit was capacity. And so what you saw after 2001 was this huge building boom. New beds, new wings, new hospitals focused on transplants. And so that the volume, when the system's operating at capacity, increased year by year.
The report shows that just the 169 hospitals approved by the Ministry of Health could have performed over 1 million transplants since the year 2000. Many more hospitals were also doing transplants despite not having been certified. Organ transplantation has been continuously incorporated into the National 5-Year Plan and has become a high priority in China's national strategy. A large number of organ transplant research and training projects are funded under the major national programs and funds. The investigators found that China International Transplantation Network Assistance Center, CITNAC, listed transplant prices for foreigners on its archived website.
It was bringing in about $9 or $10 billion a year, this industrial transplant operation going on across China now. It's a lot of money. A lot of hospitals are financing a lot of their activities through that.
They're watched very, very closely indeed by the top leadership. So they're fully aware of this, as well as the fact that Wang Lijun, one of the Bo Xilai, who was a contender for the Chinese presidency, this was his right-hand man. He was the most famous policeman in all of China. Here he is directing organ trafficking. I mean, he had a center which did this. He was given an award for doing this, and specifically for coming up with a new lethal injection method. He did thousands of transplants by his own admission in the award ceremony. He talks about that.
CITNAC website stated, "We need to give all of the thanks to the government for the support extended for our completing such a large number of organ transplants every year. This is a one-of-a-kind in the world." Yet in China, waiting times are commonly in weeks.
It was back in 2005 when a patient of mine, who has been on the top list of patients for human heart transplantation.
They have a bank of live donors waiting to get a match on the computer. Some like some horrible restaurant where you go in and see a lobster and say, "I want that lobster," and the lobster's killed.